goal kicker, Taylor Walker, with a welcome off. Here's Rosselli. Rosselli kicks the goal.
Handball to the excitement machine, McLeod. Left foot goal.
Oh, don't tell me.
He's a superstar.
Don't tell me. Oh! He's yet to kick an AFL goal. Oh, the velvet curtain.
Walker, oh, he's a colossus. He's kicked 5. He's been a handful. He's been the difference.
To cover himself in glory.
He's coming back.
And got there.
Welcome to the Proper Crows Pod, episode number 10. We're recording here Monday night after the big showdown win from Saturday. We run the state, fuck Port, etc., etc. Of course, not just myself here tonight. Dyl, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. After about 45 minutes to try and get this up and going, we're finally here. So, it's good. Got a good win the other night. It was an interesting day. It was a big day. There was a lot happening, but it was good to get an ugly win over him. So, it's good. It's good.
Absolutely. And of course, Dom, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Like Dyl said, it was a big weekend, eventful, and it was definitely an ugly win, but it's about time we actually figured out how to get ugly wins, because I think we're lacking in that department. So it was nice to see that we can play very, very much below our best and still perform. So especially in I'm not going to say prime time, but, big game.
Big game, yeah. Absolutely right. It was good to see us hold on. So, of course, we'll be going across the showdown win, the SANFL Showdown win from Saturday afternoon too. Bit of general news and, of course, an early preview of our match against the Pies coming up this week. Another big one coming up at the G. So, Dyl, what was the scores on Saturday afternoon and who kicked the goals?
Saturday night, I was going to say 7:40, Benny, but anyway,
it was a long day.
Because we're all complaining like old men that it was such a late start, so it made us feel a bit old. But look, the Crowies had 13-11-89 to Port's measly 12-12-84, so 5-point win. Phil and Fogg had 3 each. Rank, Rash, and Keezer had 2, and then Nibbler just with the single. So not too many hit the scoreboard, but it was good to see the usual suspects sort of getting up and about.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start with the ins and outs of the game. Obviously, Hinge came in, which we expected, and Brodie Smith went out, which was somewhat unexpected. I mean, we were talking about it last week, and I had Smith out on the run sheet and didn't expect it to actually happen, but Nank held his spot, and somewhat controversially, I guess. I don't know. What were your thoughts on that, Dom?
I voiced my opinion a few times and got called out a couple of times because I had very publicly hung shit on Brodie Smith, but I thought he definitely played well last week, and I thought he played better than Nank. It was pointed out to me quite obviously that you want Nank in the team over Smith if possible, so that's fair. I still think he was a bit stiff, but Hinge, he wasn't anything special, so I guess it's kind of, nullified. Like, Smith wasn't great last week either, he was just serviceable, so I guess it was like for like, so you can't really complain.
Yeah. Absolutely. How about you, Dyl? Were you happy to see it? Weren't really sure?
Oh, I was a little bit surprised. It didn't really bother me, but I'm glad that Nank stayed in because he was massive. He was, he had his moments. So I was pretty glad for him to stay in, but I was a little bit surprised. I thought Smith would have held his spot, which is a massive turnaround from what we said the other week. But no, it was fine. It sort of paid off, and it wouldn't surprise me if maybe Smith gets a gig this week. But we can talk about that after.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we mentioned, of course, we won in very ugly circumstances. We wrestled back the lead. Actually, we went down by 10 points halfway through the third quarter, and got absolutely belted in the midfield too, which wasn't ideal, but, good teams win, as they say, and we ended up getting the win in the end, so it was good to see. Riley Thilthorpe, big first half from Riley. He took 9 marks and was very impressive. Dyl, what were your thoughts on Riley's game?
He was an absolute machine, mate. It was just, I sort of pointed it out halfway through the second. I turned to Luke and said, mate, he's on one. He is just bullying. Every single time it went in his head, his arms were up and he was just clunking him down. And he's got 4 broken fingers as well, by the way. 4.
Yeah.
And he's still doing that. It's just, it was ridiculous to watch because it got to a point where the ball was heading into his head and he knew he just wasn't going to drop it. You knew he was going to clunk it, was going to stay there. So it's so nice to sort of show the the really number one draft pick sort of come out and say, here I am, and sort of establish himself as one of the most dominant forwards in the comp at the moment. So no, it's a real pleasure to see, because at the time of drafting him, people weren't too happy and people wanted Logan McDonald, and I think it's pretty safe to say now that we've made the right decision.
Oh yeah, big time. And I'll tell you what, Dom, he loves a showdown, doesn't he? A few celebrations with the crowd in there as well, mixed in a bit of how good was that sort of stuff.
Yeah, he likes getting them going. It's good to watch. It's very good to watch.
Yeah.
All of these young boys are good. They provide so much energy on the field, and I know there was a lot of talk about it last year, especially with Rush's celebrations, but I'll die on the hill of there's nothing better than seeing players react like that when they kick goals. There's nothing better than passion for the club, so...
The reaction that Dyl gave Rankin was so good when
that was good.
Got that one. Yeah, he got that one off the ground, and it's just hands to his face. It's so good to see that the culture of the club's back. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I saw this afternoon Poorly Drawn Crows did a version of the Scream, the famous painting with filth in it, which was a good shout.
I'm sure Ambrose will be happy about that one.
Absolutely. Well, another man that Ambrose was pretty happy about was Mark Keane on the weekend. His redemption arc, if you will, played the role very well. Of course, took the heroic mark near the end, potentially saving the game with that clearance with 2 minutes to go. 18 touches, 6 marks, had 12 intercepts as well, Dom. I mean, he was doing it all. And we were talking about him last week and how the hate's probably a little bit unjustified, and he showed that he can play a very important role in this team when given the chance.
Correct. He does do it again. He's so, like I said, I've said it a few times now, if he finds his consistency and he maintains a level head, he's going to be very, very good for a long time. And he showed that on the weekend. Obviously all the talks around that mark, because I thought it was a bit of a stretch, but Kane Corns is actually the one that said, the stakes were different, but it had that, Leo Barry feel about it, how, he's gone back with the flight of the ball, no idea what's coming, and obviously a lot of the talks around that. But his game as a whole was just nuts. He normally makes me nervous. When the ball's coming his way, it's 50-50 is what's going to happen. But every time it came near him, he was so composed. He was clean in the air. He was clean on the ground. His disposals were clean. He was absolutely brilliant. And if he can maintain that, then our backline's going to be in very good stead for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I don't know if you boys have seen the post-game interview as well there. There's a stretch where
that
two
murdered
sentences
me.
says footy about 15 times in 2 sentences. That was
you got to play the footy, you got to do this, you got to do that, and you're not going to put what do you say? We want to put our heads where we want to put our feet.
Yeah. No, I rate that as a sentence, by the way, as well. That was...
yeah, it's good.
Goes hard. So he was really good. Obviously, the defence as a whole was relatively good. I mean, Finlayson scored a few lucky ones and popped up here and there, but nothing that we could really do about that too much. And then other than that, Georgiades looked a bit dangerous, but nothing significant. So all did their job again, which was very nice to see. The middle, maybe not so much did their job. Rob, we're going to talk about Rob in depth a bit more, but
yeah, it was pretty ugly watch there for a little bit in the middle. Just got absolutely fucking dominated, but you heard Ken going on, we won every stat, but Ken, it doesn't fucking matter, you didn't win on the scoreboard, did you bald fuck you. But anyway, just that
I was about to say
that presser pissed me off. Would that not piss you off as a Port fan as well? Come on, man.
oh yeah,
but we're not Port fans, so it's funny to laugh at. Good, keep saying that shit. Keep the same energy. You bald. Redacted.
Yeah, it is a little bit disappointing to see that we got beaten so comfortably in the middle, because if you do
I'm just saying.
Yeah, go on.
It goes back to what I said last week as well. It just shows that we know fucking nothing about football, because we said midfield battle was most important. I don't think I've ever seen a team get destroyed as bad as we did in the middle and still somehow win a game of football.
Yeah, but we also sort of identified that. Yeah,
we lost everything.
The transition as well, I think, was going to be won or lost, and it sort of showed that our slingshot off that back 50.
Our scores from
was just ridiculous.
About to say 10 goals from turnover is insane, but
yeah,
it's It does worry me a little bit because if we're ever inefficient, it's going to bite us in the ass. Like, because we lost everything. Like, we lost the inside 50 count by 21. Like, as Ben said, clearances by 27. Like,
You do that
they're
against
two
a good
very, even
side.
contested possessions. We lost contested possessions by 14, and that's like, when you lose those three stats by that much, it's very rare you get a win. But,
Yeah,
man, you go.
You saw it against Freo. Like, they're a semi-decent side. They're a better side than Port. They won the middle, and they just and they beat us. It's as simple as that. You know, like if you're gonna do that against a good side, you're gonna get embarrassed, and Freo embarrassed us. It's the same really against Geelong in the back, probably from the middle of the third of the last quarter. You know, they got on top of us through the middle, and we got beaten. You know, that's two okay sides. Port are not they're not a great side. So it sort of shows that if we do have a lapse of concentration, it could get a little bit dirty. But yeah, it is a little bit disappointing to sort of see that happen to us so easily. But good sides win shit, and we did. We won an ugly game. It's fine, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters this week. But if we do that against Collingwood this week, it may get a little bit ugly out at the MCG, but we'll go on about that after.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll go a bit more in depth with Rob at the moment. And we want to give a big shout out to Ambrose at the moment, who did come down. He flew down for the game on Saturday night. Let's not talk about how it ended and all of that jazz, but he's penned a new nickname for Rob. So we're going with the barometer. So he said that every time we've lost, Rob's played poorly, and every time we've won, he's been semi-competent. I mean, Saturday night was probably one of the more semi-competent sort of nights. He wasn't great. We thought he'd give Vicentini a bit of a bath, but it didn't exactly happen like that.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly, I think. I think Vicentini kind of... I'm not going to say he bathed him because he didn't, because he was good.
He didn't bath him. I think he was Vicentini. He got bullied a lot. I don't think we're sort of giving as much respect as to Rob that I think he should be getting. On Saturday night, he was good, and if it wasn't for him giving in the game that he did, we probably would have got beaten. Because we got beaten comprehensively.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not shitting on Rob at all. I'm just saying Vicentini was good, and a lot of us, I think everyone underrated him because he only lost the hit count by 7.
Yeah,
but I think it was more
obviously
more
around the ground. Rob gets around better because he's like, we all know he's a fucking athlete. He runs around the ground like no tomorrow. He glides on the surface, even though he looks like he's in pain when he runs. But that's
and he took that massive mark as well in the last quarter. Put himself under the footy, and he took that mark and then handed it off to Worrell. Thank God. I was so worried when that happened.
There was heart in the mouth when he turned across goal.
He opened his body up for 30 seconds, and I'm like, he's not. For about 3 seconds, I'm like, he's not doing this, is he?
He knows his limitations.
Oh, but no, he was good. Like, you know, he probably should have won it a little bit easier, but I think to sort of say, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but no, he was good, and I think the barometer is a good little nickname.
Yeah, absolutely. I rate that very highly. I mean, he had 17 touches, 8 kicks. He had 5 tackles, 5 marks, 9 handballs as well. And as you boys said, he did a lot of his work around the ground. So probably won the ruck contest in terms of that. But, in terms of centre clearance, he got a bit of a bath. But
I still think he's a liability, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, I'd love a better ruckman in there.
Yeah.
Because I know that he played well, but he had 40 hit-outs, and we got absolutely smashed in clearance still. So it's... I don't think that's a great sign. Because Vicentini had 33, and you got Wines had 10, Butters had 10, Vicentini himself had 6, Bergman had 6. That's grim reading, but... that's just... I'm still... Yeah, it's rough. I'm a Rob hater, though, and I will always be, unfortunately, so...
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing can be done there. I mean, so out of 84 ruck contests he went through, he won 40 hit-outs, so he's just under half. I don't have the stat for hit-outs to advantage, but I imagine he usually goes well there, but I don't think on Saturday night there were many to advantage. It was he got nullified a lot with the hit-outs that he had, but, we move. It's, we won, so it's all right, but, we'd like to see him play a little bit better. Speaking of being a little bit better, I mean, Dorse was very well held on by Miles Bergman, I think, was running with him for most of Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was
Yeah,
a bit
look,
off.
it was a bit quiet. Dom, your mic stuffed. It was a little bit quiet, but we'll see what. Yeah, he still impacted where he needed to. So
Yeah.
you can't. There's not really much where you can do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, he still ended up with 14 disposals. He still had 11 kicks and 9 tackles as well, so he was keeping himself involved in the contest. Obviously won that clearance towards the end when Isaac kicked that goal out of absolutely nowhere, pulled it off the ground and just slimed it through. So that was pretty good of him. 8 contested possessions. So he was still doing work. It's just not quite to the level that we would be used to. But again, we got the job done at the end of the day, so it was all right.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on his game, Dyl? I mean, other than that, I think I've touched on most of it there. But you're sort of happy with his performance, or a bit more needing?
It was all right. Like it was, he had a couple big moments, and if you're gonna have a quiet game, so we can ask for to still step up when needed, and he did. So yeah, it wasn't massive, but it wasn't awful. I'm not going to sit here and berate him over it, because if you're going to get held like that and basically bullied all game, you're still going to have a 19 and have a handful of score involvements, and you've done your job really, and you've stepped up where you can. So yeah, it's all right. You should have a big week this week and bounce back, I think, out in the G on the bigger ground.
Yeah, so I have found the hit out to advantage stat, because yes, I'm a hater and I went to look for it so I could bring it up. Vicentini had 13 hitouts to advantage from his 33 hitouts. Rob had 6 from 40.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It paints a much worse picture than I think that, like, the eye test wasn't that bad. But it definitely paints a very grim picture.
Yeah.
It's not great. Like
6 out of 40. That's a pretty bad.
Especially
strike.
when Vicentini's got 13 out of 33. That's just, oh man, I don't know. Something doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, not ideal. I mean, maybe half to do with the work of the midfielders around the bottom at the fall of the ball, but
yeah. That's true.
That's what I was about to say as well. Maybe it's just the midfield setup, and I think that comes back to a little bit to the midfield coach at the moment. He's I think it's his last year in the job. Well, I think I'm going to be pretty flat out honest here. I think we're in the same sort of boat here, that I think the coaching staff needs a little bit of a shake up on all 3 lines, but.
They all should go, but
yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later in the season, I think. But I think a lot of it is down to the midfield setup and how it is going. But it's fine. It's shit. But yeah, it's just not good enough. And there's a couple. You can see with the clubs where he's been at and the midfields that he's been involved in and what's been happening. So I think he needs to go. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, the next person who we're going to talk about here, we poached across from another midfield, of course, James Peatling. Many clubs were interested in him. His interactions with Nixie were apparently a very big factor in him joining the Crows, as well as coming across with him as well. But he was elite on Saturday night. I mean, 24 touches, 15 kicks, 12 tackles and 5 clearances. He was just doing it all. And I mean, he was the general of the midfield on Saturday night. It was really, really impressive and really showed why we got him across from the Giants. Dom, how did you see his game?
Oh, he was it's so weird because there was so many other players that I was expecting to step up against that midfield. Peatling's always been good, but when you got like Dawson and Sligo and Rankin rolling through there, having Peatling in there as well, knowing that he can do that is insane. And like 12 tackles is nuts. It's so nice having someone that's so clean, because I feel like we always relied on Dawson for that like clean exit, and having Peatling in there now as well is just like a breath of fresh air in that midfield.
Yeah,
I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Dyl, how about you? How did you see James Peatling's game?
It was very, very good. Just the way that he's able to win the ball, get it to the outside. If he needs to pop forward and play off that high half forward, it's great. His forward craft's awesome as well inside the forward 50. Yeah, his last 3 of 4 have been enormous, and it sort of shows of why so many clubs did want him. What 10 clubs wanted him. I think more than half of the competition
half
wanted
the
him,
league,
and for him to come here, for him to come here, I think is a massive show on Nixie. Something that I saw get spoken about during the week is you can judge a coach on 4 different things: selection, the brand of footy they're playing, is there improvement through the squad, and then culture as well. And I think all 4 of those things Nix has ticked off. So people have been very harsh on him, but yeah, they're the 4 things that you sort of want to look at. And on all 4 things, we've been okay. Selection is probably the only 50-50 one over the last couple seasons, but the brand of footy we're playing is great. We've shown improvement every season. Besides last season, we sort of digressed a little bit, and the culture of the club is massive, and that's why Jimmy Peatling is here, because of the culture that the club's shown. So, I'm happy he's one of us, and probably should get another 8 years of footy out of him, which is very, very exciting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because he's only what? Is he 26?
24.
Prime. Yeah. No, that's insane. And yeah, as you said, speaks very highly of Nixie and the relationships that he's built. Of course, he would have been a coach maybe at GWS around about the time when he was there.
As he was drafted, yeah. As he was drafted, he would have. So, and then obviously the coming relationship probably helped as well. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that speaks volumes. So, even on Saturday night, I was still seeing posts complaining about Nixon because we almost lost and all this absolute rubbish. Even though it's a showdown and. Yeah, we're going to have things like that. People complaining about the close.
I want to say one thing, and it's not directed at a certain individual that is going to take it personally, but it's not, because I've seen it a few times. But the amount of people that have lost their shit about how like Nixie commented about how the last 10 minutes of the game, we held on and that was the important thing. They're the same people. The people that are complaining about that, they're the same people that crash out when we try and pull games back in the last 10 minutes and say it doesn't matter. Yep. It's like you pick one or the other. You're either backing the coach the whole way. You don't get to pick and choose when he's it makes me so mad because...
Yeah, it's the same bloke saying no plan B. He pulls a plan B out and you fucking whinging he's pulled a plan B out and played the same brand. What do you want? Sure, obviously he went probably a little bit too defensive and it nearly cost us, but it was...
I agree. I think they played that last 10 minutes wrong. And I must say, I probably don't think it was the right thing for Nixie to say that it's not as important, because it was. Realistically, if there was another minute, that game might have been lost. But it just, I don't know. It's just there's so much criticism around him for no reason at the moment. He's got us sitting 6-3. It's our best start under him. It's our best start since 2018. Our fan base just looks for things to complain about half the time, I swear, because we're in a pretty good spot right now, and it blows my mind that there were still so many negatives floating around after we've just won a showdown and we're 6-3.
Yeah. No, 100%. And you'd think fans would know by now that regardless of where teams are sitting on the ladder, how you're going in a year, doesn't really matter in a showdown. You could roll up and it could be 1st versus 18th, and it's a 50-50 playing field. So, like you said, Dom, I think a lot of our fans look for negatives and are pretty successful in being negative most of the time. But
that's the thing. Everyone reads into it too much. There's always... You can read into anything and there'll be negatives. You can read into a 10-goal win last week and there's negatives. It's just don't look for them. Be positive for once, please.
Nah, exactly. We're sitting on the verge of the top 4, as you said. Best start to a season under Nixie. Just the sky's the limit. Let's just be positive. We're along for the ride. So few could take note, but here's what it is.
Speaking of positives, mate. About to say.
Lovely segue.
Oh, man, I cannot give this man enough flowers. Josh Worrell. I'm going to name my son Josh Worrell. You've got it written on the run sheet, and I agree. I said it last week, and I thought it was a stretch, but not anymore. He needs to be in that 40-man All-Australian squad right now, because he's so, and there's so many, different aspects to his game that are just elite. His intercepting is unreal, his ball use is unreal, his run off halfback is unreal. He's so important in transition. he's just, and for someone that's not even, he hasn't even cracked 100 games yet, and he's playing the way he is, like, I cannot laud this man enough, like, Jesus. It kind of scares me a little bit because he's Victorian, isn't he? I don't want to mess that up because I did.
He won't go home. He won't go home.
I don't think he'll go home either, but I just know that there's going to be certain football clubs that are going to have a lot of money that are going to throw.
He came out during the week and said that he probably wouldn't be on an AFL list if it wasn't for Matthew Nix.
Oh no, I don't think he's going to. I just know that
he's not leaving. He's got too much respect for the club. He's got too much respect for Nix. If he leaves, I'll hang myself by the balls for hours.
That's interesting. All right, fair enough. I didn't say he was going to. I just said I have trauma from certain individuals.
No, I think the idea is absurd.
Trauma from all individuals who played in the exact same position that he's playing in as well. I think that's the worst bit.
That's what freaks me out about it. But
Keith
Lever,
Lever,
fine.
Duday.
But Josh Warrior's dad doesn't like women and money, so it's fine.
All right, good point.
That is an obscure reference. If anyone's listening and understands that one,
please good on
message
you.
us. Oh, that's a good one there.
Jesus. That's good. That's very good.
That's very, very good. So Josh is having a great season. He's probably, like you said, even definitely the 40 for me. He's definitely pushing that. But if he continues this form, I mean, you could potentially look at the 22. Probably,
I would honestly
work, but
that's the only thing that I think might ruin him. Not necessarily ruin him, but might. There's a lot of other players that play the same role that have been doing the same role for a lot longer. So I think that's the only thing that will stand in his way, as long as he keeps up his form, obviously. But very promising.
100%. And someone else who's been very promising since picking him up from interstate, Alex Neil-Bullen, has come back and almost flown under the radar. I mean, his impact on this team and his work on game days is just incredible. I mean, I love watching the bloke run around, and he's just one of those blokes who, he isn't flashy, he's not doing all of those things and, in the highlights and everything like that, but his work around the ground and everything that he brings to this team has been huge. I mean, Dyl, I don't know what you thought about his game on Saturday night, but he obviously kicked a goal. Was just that in and under player.
He just gets it done. He's that mature head on and off the ground. His leadership is ridiculous, and he shows up every single week. Obviously, he's a premiership player. He knows what has to happen to be, in the upper echelon of the competition, and you just can't complain. Like, I don't think he's played like shit all season. So he has flown under the radar, but he's basically elite in all categories for a general forward. So he's so good. Just the fact that we picked him up is very, very, very good for us, and I think he's going to go a long way to pushing that top 4, or sort of cementing ourselves in the top 8 over the next 6-week period, because we're in such a sort of tough spot. No, not tough spot. We've got such a tough run, and I think it'll sort of show of why he's been so good for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. Dom, how about you? I mean, he's been really good this year so far, and is going to be key in that little sort of 6-week block that Dyl mentioned there. What are your thoughts on Alex Neil-Bullen?
I think the most important thing that he's brought to the group is, like Dyl said, having someone that's won a flag that has so much experience behind him is so important. Because I think we were lacking that a little bit. Like, we had a lot of talent, but there wasn't necessarily a lot of leadership around. Like, people that have been through success before. There was a lot of new players coming through that had been draftees or that were just young and inexperienced. I think having him back there, especially with Tex as well, obviously, is just it's so important for like Rash and all of the smalls as well. He's so calm and like you said, he's been flying under the radar. No one's really, he's not setting the world on fire, but I think if we lost him, it would be very, very noticeable, like in terms of how we set up and how we play and how we go forward, and even how we defend coming out of our forward 50, like defending rebounds. He's very important in that as well, because I don't want to shit on Tex, but he does a lot of heavy lifting for Tex in terms of chasing Tex's man out of the 50 when he needs to, and stuff like that. Like you said, it goes under the radar. So yeah. I couldn't be happier because my dad's a Melbourne supporter, so I've been watching him for a while now because I watch a few Melbourne games with my dad. And when he said he wanted to come home, I was already pretty up and about, and he's just kind of proved it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think he's been literally everything that we all thought he would be when sort of he requested a trade home, and we all sort of got a bit excited and knew that this is what he was going to be, but it's great to see that he's actually put it on the park and showed what he was worth. So, great pickup. Another person I wanted to talk about on the run sheet here, we've got Sam Berry, and I'm curious what you boys think about where his best position lies, because he came on as a sub on the weekend again, and he had a very solid impact. There are a few people on Twitter and in the chat this afternoon talking about potentially maybe bring him into the starting lineup and help Dorse float forward a bit more, free him up a little bit. Curious on your thoughts, Dyl. Do you reckon there's a bit of a case for that? And if so, who comes into that sub role, I guess, to sort of fill that hole and have the same impact?
Yeah, look, I think that Berry will be in the 22 this week and won't play as the sub. I think what you'll see as well is he will start in the midfield, and I think he's going to run with Nick Dacos. Because the last few weeks we've sort of seen Nick Dacos hasn't been heavily tagged, but he's had someone put a bit of body on him, and he's just fucked off the full forward straight away. He just can't, it's funny. Football's a funny game. We were saying that Nick Dacos was untaggable a few weeks ago, and now we're coming back to, Sam Berry's going to run with him. So I think that's what will happen. I think Berry's best position is as that sort of inside midfielder, sort of sitting around the footy. Even if he does start in a high half forward and then push up into the midfield and maybe swap with a Dawson, so Dawson can then drift forward. Maybe that's something else we can look at. But no, I think as a midfielder is where his best spot is. Is he best 22 every week? I don't know, and I don't think the club knows either. But I do think he will start in the 22 this week. As for the sub, who he subs with and who he swaps with, I couldn't tell you. Could not tell you.
Yeah,
Mate, yeah,
it's a hard one.
No idea.
Nah, absolutely. Dom, how about you? I mean, he came on and had a pretty good impact. I mean, he had 7 touches, 5 kicks, 4 tackles, had 2 handballs. He hit the scoreboard, obviously, right at the very depth of the game. His clearances are there somewhere. Clearances. He had 2 clearances in that time as well, and that was from only 6 centre-bounce attendances. And I mean, that's in 35 minutes, basically, a quarter and a little bit. So, pretty impressive.
Oh, he did the same thing that he did the week before. He came on and, like you said, made an impact straight away. I don't necessarily think he'll run with Dacos, but I think he has a spot in our midfield while Matt Crouch isn't there, because I think I don't know if this is a consensus view or even popular, but I think he's what everyone thinks Matt Crouch is, because he can get in and under, he's clean with the ball, he can get it out of a tight jam, but he can also run with the ball. And he showed that a few times, especially that last in the last 10 seconds where he got the ball on the wing, ran all the way to 50, and he missed. But playing devil's advocate, I can't see Matt Crouch doing that. And
he's got a bit more burst than what Matt Crouch has.
And I think that's the difference, because I think he is actually I don't know if he's best 22 necessarily, but I think he definitely brings something to that midfield that we don't have, because especially without Crouch, I should preface, I still think Crouch probably plays over him when he's fit. But, I think he's going to have a pretty big role to play in our midfield, especially against Collingwood with Dacos. I don't necessarily think he'll run with him, but I think it's important to have someone that's going to put a body on him. I think he'll start. I think he'll play. I don't think he'll be sub. I think he'll play, and I think he'll start in the middle.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if Dawson starts forward, or because you've got it written in the run sheet, and I agree with it. Having him in the lineup does free up Dawson a lot more. And I've said it a few times now, whether Dawson's either playing on halfback like Rosie is, or doing what Bont and Danger have started doing, how they go forward and they can kick 2 or 3. If he can do that, sky's the limit for this club. I've said a few times, so he'll definitely play.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It'd be very interesting to see what they do with him this week. And we might run that into the man who came off the field for him to come on, Dan Curtin. He potentially due for a rest in the SANFL. He didn't do too much on Saturday night. I mean, it was probably... The tools before he was subbed off probably didn't do a lot, minus Thilthorpe, of course. But,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
The only thing... Oh, sorry. Sorry, Dyl. The only thing that concerns me with Curtin is that I think he probably is due a rest, but I am worried that if he has a rest, they're not going to recall him straight away.
Yeah.
And I think Christian said it in the chat earlier as well, that he pointed that out as well. That's the only flag I have on that I don't want it to be a rest if he's not going to come back in, because he doesn't deserve to be dropped 100%, because this is probably one of the worst games he's played this year. But he's been good for the 2 or 3 weeks before this, and I'm pretty sure Nixie said only last week they're going to keep playing him because they're loving what he's bringing to the lineup. So I think he's important to the structure, and if he does get rested, I don't necessarily think it'll be this week, to be honest. Unless he really needs it. But...
I think he'll play this week because matchup based it will be such a good matchup for him, because if he plays as that fourth forward and sort of plays a little bit high up, his direct matchup is probably going to be a Josh Dacos. So if we start winning the middle and make Dacos defend, good luck. If we I don't think it could be a massive game for him if he starts pushing a little bit up, off that high half forward onto a wing, as we've seen him do a few times. It's going to be, or maybe Lockie O'Sullivan might go to him as well. And if we start getting on top of them a little bit and start making it, a defensive contest for Collingwood, I just don't see who matches up on him. I don't think they've got someone who can go with him. Like maybe Bruz might go to him, and that's probably where that will probably be the ideal matchup will be Bruzzy to Curtin. And then at the other end you've got a Thilthorpe, you've got a Fogarty, you've got a Tex exposed, and Tex loves playing the G. Tex loves it.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting selection. I hope he plays because, as I said, the matchup is going to be a pretty favourable one for him.
If Darcy Moore doesn't play, which I think he will, but if he doesn't play, Curtin, because you're 100% right. If Darcy Moore doesn't play, it's going to be it'll be Dacos or Houston or Quaynor that gets Curtin, because they're not going to Frampton and Howe are going to have to go to Fog and Thilf, and Tex will end up free as well. It's a big watch on Darcy Moore, I think, because if he doesn't play, obviously they can't name based on Collingwood because I don't know if he's going to play or not unless he's listed out, earlier in the week. But yeah, I think you're right. The matchup is going to be so good for him. And even I just think he's too important for a game like Collingwood when we've got West Coast coming up, which no disrespect to West Coast, but I'd much rather rest him against West Coast at home than Collingwood at the G.
Yeah. I think you're gonna see a few names rested, I think, for that West Coast game.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got written on the run sheet that Tex is probably due for a rest around then.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't
He'll have a rest.
horrid. He was uncharacteristically inaccurate on Saturday night. He missed a couple of easy ones, but I mean, other than that, he's still going okay. But as a 35, 36-year-old bloke, you're probably
he needs it. He needs a rest. Well, they should give him one regardless. He's too old to. Don't want his body to break down, so give him a rest even if he says he doesn't want one, in my opinion.
I reckon we'll rest him because I honestly think these last few weeks, I reckon he goes one more. I reckon he goes again. After these last few weeks of him, I reckon he goes again. Doesn't play a full season, but he goes again. That's the goal from me. He goes again, I think.
It won't shock me. I said it earlier in the year. If we make top 4 this year, especially, I think he'll definitely play on. If he thinks we're a sniff of a flag next year, he'll be there.
Because he's not going to be that embarrassing Jack Darling type of player.
Nah, I
don't think he'll get that bad.
And I don't think our club or supporters would let it get to that point. I think there would be calls for him to step away forever.
In saying that, though, Jack Darling was quite good last night. So
Mate, broken clock's right twice a day. He's going to be good eventually, but I'm not. Nah, he's shit. I don't care. Everyone has one good game.
Very well said. Per Xander Maguire as well, this is just a bit of Collingwood news just flowing on from that Darcy Moore conversation. So he's nursing a sore shoulder at the moment and a lot to play out within the next 24 hours or so. So we should know somewhat soon if he's locked in or not.
And don't quote me on this, but is that the same tweet that said DeGoey was also a watch?
Yes. He missed today's light session as well. So yeah, well, of course, we'll go a little bit more in depth with the Collingwood side a bit later on when we go the preview. But big news and a big follow over the next couple of days because it could really open up Dan Curtin and be interesting to see what happens there if Darcy Moore doesn't play. One more thing about the opposition. So the Showdown medal went to Connor Rozee in the end on Saturday night. So seen a few Port fans crying about us booing Connor Rozee. I mean, check your own backyard after booing Isaac Rankinoff knocked out last year. But
you remember that time they booed Scott Thompson for winning the medal in the football showdown? Because I do. Just saying. Just bringing that up.
That doesn't count apparently when you. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't even think Rozee was Port's best player, to be perfectly honest.
Butters was better.
100%. So
once again, my anti-Rozee agenda. I have some stats lined up for you because I just don't. So he had 33 disposals. He had 10 ineffective kicks. The next highest for Port Adelaide was Wynd, which was 8, which is not really that much of a difference. But he also had 17 uncontested possessions, which is just. Jeepies. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy because I like Kane Corns and I don't want him to. God forbid this somehow gets back to him. But if you're going to go at Harry Sheezel, you need to go at your own captain as well because, man, he was just waiting for it as well.
He was taking kickouts.
Yeah, or even like they'd have a mark on the edge of their 50 and he'd stand there next to the bloke waiting for it so he could get a cheap inside 50. Like, I don't care that a Port player won it because if you deserve it, you deserve it. But it should have been Butters.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to give it to one of them, it should have been Butters.
Yeah,
but
100%.
It's proper Crows, not proper Port, and Riley Thilthorpe should have won it, so.
Absolute facts. I mean, I think if he played maybe another half a quarter like he was playing in that first half, he probably would have got it. I think all of the official votes, pretty much all of them had him second, so the total was like 14-5 in the end, but he was pretty close other than getting, the max votes from someone. So, yeah, in our minds, it's Riley Thilthorpe's medal, so it's all right.
Correct.
We'll move on now. We've got a few questions and points that a few people on Twitter have brought up for us to talk about. Of course, if you're listening now and want to give us a follow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever you may wish, head over at Proper Crows Pod on basically everything. Daniel Ferraro said, great win, clearances and stoppage clearance domination by Port, a bit of a concern, maybe worth a discuss. I think we've pretty much touched on that a little bit. We'll see how we line up this week. I'm sure it won't be the same.
Just preface it as, well, not preface, but I listened to Nixie on Fireball this morning and he did say that they'll review it because, I mean, they kind of have to anyway, but hearing him actually say it gave me a little bit of peace of mind that, they're aware that we didn't necessarily get lucky, but that's not a good. It's a terrible showing from the midfield, and we'll be lucky to get close to Collingwood if we do that again this week. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. And on that chat from Fireball this morning, I haven't heard it personally yet, but Crowzone at CrowNuff99 said, Nix on Fireball this morning. We do not need Hinge or Max to go into the midfield. We have genuine mids rotting in the SANFL, including a top 4 pick. Billy, Sid, and Charlie are the future.
I agree.
I love what Max brings to the midfield, though. I really enjoy seeing them roll through there, but potentially at the detriment of the defence or
that's my
structure.
I don't think it's worth putting Hinge. I don't think Hinge is a midfielder. Max, I understand the draw, and even I think Nixie kind of said that he, he definitely has the potential to be like a very, very good on-baller, but I don't think it's worth compromising the defense any more than it already is to try and fix something that doesn't necessarily need to be fixed. Like, it was one game, and I think it's a bit reactionary because Kane and David King were talking about it last week, and that's why I got brought up again this week, that they wanted Hinge or Max to roll through the midfield when we needed like a different dynamic. But he's absolutely right. Like, Sid Draper's rotten in the SANFL. Charlie Edwards is playing SANFL. Like, there's a lot of other players that I'd put in there before I try and mess up the defensive structure, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Dill, how about you? What are your thoughts on Max and Hinge rotating through?
No, honestly, I don't mind it. I don't see what the point of blooding players is for the sake of it when you're pushing for a top four selection. I think the obsession of, there's kids there, there's kids there is it's dumb. It's stupid. If we're all bottom four side, yeah, go for it. But at the same time, we've seen Max push into the midfield time and time again, and he's been great when he's had his stints in there. Hinge, I'm not huge on him going through, but if he's going to be part of a rotation or two, I don't see what the issue is. But no, the obsession of having to play kids is just I've never really understood it. Especially like Hinge is 25, Max is 22. What do you mean? They're not 30. They're not 30-year-olds.
I don't think the obsession is with playing kids in this instance anyway. I think it's more geared at.
I think it is. And no offense to the blokes who have said it. It's a fair point to make, but they're not rotting at all. Sid Draper is an 18-year-old who got drafted. Not even 4 months ago. Charlie Edwards at the same time. Who are you playing Charlie Edwards over? Give me a name.
No, I'm not playing. No. I'm not playing him over anyone.
I'm not going at you. I understand that it's more about the midfield mix, but these players are playing there, and they've got the ability to play through the midfield. What Kane is saying, and I think to go and say that someone is rotting in the twos is just.
I get where they're coming from.
It's so reactionary.
Yeah, but I think it's more reactionary to say that we needed Max in the midfield because he's too. It's not worth compromising our defensive. I wouldn't touch the midfield personally. I'm just airing that now. I don't think it's necessary to.
Well, he's not saying go and touch the midfield. He's just saying that the mix, sometimes needs to change instead of the.
Yeah,
same.
but I wouldn't put Max and Hinge aren't the answer when our defense is already vulnerable as it is sometimes. Especially Max, Hinge. Like I think we all agree, Hinge probably not. But like I said, I see the draw card at Max, but I don't think it's. There's other players, not even in the SANFL, just in the AFL side that I'd rotate through there, i.e. Rankin, Rochelle, even Keys in there I don't hate, I just don't.
And they already get that. I think it's just.
I just don't think.
I think it's the comment that I don't agree with is the rotting in the SANFL.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't agree with that.
Rotting it probably makes
ridiculous.
it sound a bit worse.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like Dowling, he played well last year, but he's just a little bit one-paced. Charlie Edwards, he'll get his go. But Sid Draper, he was drafted 6 months ago. Like, can we pump the brakes a little bit here? Like, I think it's a ridiculous comment saying they're rotting. It's just crazy.
They're not rotting.
It's crazy, but no, it's fine.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Next comment here is Baz_27 saying, did Tex really attend a CBA? Now, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but the stats show that he attended
I think he rocked.
Is that an actual stat that was recorded?
Yep.
Yeah, I think he rocked.
That is funny. I don't remember that. I'm gonna go through and look at all the centre bounces now.
Yeah. No, I was a bit the same.
When I find, because I'm gonna do that because I'm not doing uni work tonight. I'm resigned to that fact now. I'm gonna go through all the CBAs, and when I find it, I will get it up on Twitter because that is funny and I want to see it.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, we'll respond to that a little bit later on. Marty McFly at Flamborghini 2 says, if Dacos, Moore and Elliott don't play this week, do you think we're a good chance of beating the Pies at the G? Now, of course, we'll go into a little bit more in depth in a moment. I was on my lunch break today and decided to have a look in terms of what the margin was the last few times we played the Pies. So us as a group, and I think we've been there for all of them, the last 5 times that we've all seen them play live, we've lost by a total of 17 points, and all of those were under a kick. So if any time is better to beat them, I don't know when it is. It's been 9 years since we've beaten them in 2016.
Grim.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few factors that make me think it could be. We could be heading towards it and looking like it with them resting their players and them coming back from Perth and having a few knocked up and, not in the best way. It could be time, but, time will tell on Saturday afternoon, because I remember going into it thinking very similar a couple of years ago and being humbled very quickly on the third level of the MCG as Jordan also had his head ripped off. So yeah, we'll see how it is. Who have we got next? At Gilly the Dog says, maybe a bit off topic, but Nix's statement, quote unquote, the coaches made a great decision, re-Bez sub, indicating some very significant independent matchday decision making. Surprising to me, yet we hammer him for his matchday caution and inflexibility. So basically, I think what we're trying to say here is all those people jumping down Nix's throats. Maybe it's not just all him making every single decision that you disagree with.
Yeah, who would have thought the line coaches get a say in what happens? It's almost like they're coaches. Who would have thought?
Crazy that the coaching group make coaching decisions.
Yeah. I think that's a very good point, though, as well, especially with like how he brought up that he gets hammered for how inflexible he is with his game plan and stuff. That, he changed something and it worked. It's happened before. People just choose to ignore it, and I'm glad someone's pointed it out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. People will ignore the fact that they want to ignore to suit their agendas and all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it is what it is. And thank you to everyone who has left a comment on Twitter and over on Instagram. There are a couple as well, which we'll get to because they touched on a few bits of news that we'll touch on in a second. As I said, at Proper Crows Pod on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everything, you name it, we're there. Go and have a look, follow, like, all of that sort of stuff. We'll move on now to our 3-2-1 of the game, and I'll start with you, Dyl. Who got your one?
Ben Keys. Little bit left field, but yeah, it was great. Had a couple, he had 20 odd touches. So yeah, Ben Keys gets my vote. Good
shout. Dom, how about you?
Mine are probably going to be pretty expected, but I'm going to give one to Josh Worrell. Because again, he's incredibly important to that backline structure, and he was great again. Probably didn't have the same impact as he had last week, but he still, got a lot of ball, took a few intercepts. So, I got to back in my boy. So, yeah.
Yep. No, absolutely. I think for me, mine is probably Ben Keys as well. I was very close to giving it to Josh Rochelle. I mean, he probably faded in and out of the game a little bit, but had some very good moments. Yeah. But Ben Keys is my one as well. Dyl, your two?
Peatling. Peatling 2 for me. So yeah, we touched on it before. It was great all game. So yeah, Peatling for 2.
Yep. Dom, how about you?
Phil Thorpe for the 2. If he, like you said, if he'd played another half a quarter, he would have got the 3. Faded out a bit, but you can't ignore that first half. He really set the tone. Gave us a good base to work off of in that second half. So he's a freak in the air, and he showed that again. So 2.
Yep. Absolutely, I'm the same. Phil Thorpe 2 for me. Dyl, your 3?
Yeah, Phil Thorpe.
Yep.
Yeah. He was great. He sort of faded off a little bit, but I think kind of Rosie medal was probably deserved. Really, it was pretty good. So if it wasn't going to be him, it would have been Phil Thorpe. But yeah, if he played probably an extra 15 minutes at that elite level, he probably would have won it. But Phil Thorpe 3 for me. Probably pretty easily best on ground for the Crows.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Dom, your 3?
Well, I've gone 3 to Peatling because he was by far the shining light in that midfield. I'd hate to see what would have happened if we didn't have him in there. And I think he was probably the only Crows player on the ground that was better than Thilthorpe. Like we said, if Thilthorpe played the full game, then yeah, but he was so important to our midfield. And he deserves his 3.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I tend to agree there. So Peatling, my 3 as well. We'll move on to the news now. And the first bit is that Mark Keane was actually reported during the game for a stray kick to the lower region of Jeremy Finlayson. And I say kick very hesitantly because it was more of a he was stepping over him and put his foot in that area where he wouldn't put his head, ironically. After the game. So no news about what may be happening on that yet. David Zeta yesterday seemed to think that he could look at a week, but it would be highly unlikely.
He'll get off.
Yeah, he won't. He said he's not sure if it'll fit the criteria, and I don't think it does either. He'll be fine. Might get a fine or some shit, but...
Yeah, I mean, he's starting to rack up some fines. I mean, I don't know what the total will be from him here, but he's paid out a lot of cash for the...
he's gone for the record.
No, absolutely. Next bit of news where we revealed our Indigenous Guernsey today, designed by Graham Johncock, and there's a blue and a red variant. My bank account really hates that we're doing 2 different variants of every Guernsey we bring out this year, but it is what it is. What are your thoughts on it, Dyl?
I don't mind it actually. It's pretty good. We always do a very good job at the Indigenous Guernseys. So I'm not a big Guernsey man, as we've said time and time again. But so I won't be buying it. But no, I think it's great. We always do a really good job with them.
100%. Dom, how about you?
Oh, you'll see me buying the red one, I think, because the red, it's just different. We haven't had a good, solid Indigenous Guernsey, in a clash form, and I just love it. I think it's unreal. So if I could fathom it, I'd buy both, but I think I'm going to get the red one. It's beautiful.
No, absolutely. I'm just thinking of the meme where it's like, if I win the lottery, I won't tell you, but there'll be signs, and it's just like Dom holding
got
two
both.
Guernseys.
Yeah, 100%.
No, absolutely. So, designed by Graham Johncock, as I said, there's a great article on the website and all of the socials explaining all of the meanings of the different parts of the Guernsey. There are way too many different symbols and everything for us to run through at the moment, but it's a really good article. So head to afc.com.au to go and have a read of that one. Last bit of news for this week so far is the Showdown medal. First 6 games awarded medals. They weren't originally given medals, but Showdowns 1 through 6 were given. The Showdown medal for Showdown number 2 went to Brett James, Showdown 4 to Mark Rasciuto, his 4th, and Showdown 5 went to Mark Bickley as well.
Justice.
I don't know, the Rasciuto one, I was having a look on Twitter the other day. Peter Vardy kicked 7 snags in Showdown.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit
stiff to...
Bit unlucky, I think, but
100%.
I don't think Rue's going to complain, is he? So
Nah, absolutely not. So I think it was him and Franco who both got awarded one in that, so they're both on 4. So obviously Robbie Gray has the record, but Rue and Franco pull away from Jacobs and a couple of other players on 3. So good to see. Congratulations to those people, of course. We'll move on to the SANFL now. So the Crows took down the Power Reserves at Adelaide Oval on Saturday afternoon. Despite what the run sheet here is saying, Norwood, we move. It's okay. Tom, what was the score on that one there?
So it was 13-10-88 to 5-13-43. So pretty convincing win in the end, as I think everyone expected. Our SANFL side's been strong and they've continued that form. Burgess once again showing he's probably slightly above SANFL level, kicking 3. Pedler again was on fire. He kicked 2. Drury kicked 2 as well. And then Atkinson, Dowling, Draper, Gallagher, O'Leary, Schomburg all kicked 1 as well. Sid was, not necessarily stand out, but had an incredibly solid game for an 18-year-old. 24 touches, 1 goal, 4 tackles, 5 clearances. Grubb was good yet again. He's having a pretty good year in the SANFL. I don't think he'll play AFL, but he's certainly trying to. He's putting his hand up. Pedler had another good game, 13 touches, 2 goals. And then, according to the run sheet, Billy Dowling had one of the greatest games of all time with 287 disposals. So
he had a AFL 26 type game, I think, by the sound of that. But
obviously that's
28. But
it's definitely 28. So he was great again. Brody Smith had 29, so he I don't think he'll come back into the AFL side, but proved he's definitely up to the standard when he wants to be. And Charlie Edwards was 26. I did hear a few comments that he was a bit wasteful with those disposals, so that's a bit of a box score watch because I only got to see 2 quarters, but yeah, apparently he was a little bit wasteful, so maybe not a watch, but just looks a bit better than it is, I think. And then obviously McAndrew had another pretty good game. I don't think he'll displace Rob, but it's nice to have him there and have depth because I love Kieran Strawn, but he was not great at AFL level. Noel McAndrew's putting up similar numbers and can have a future. It's quite nice.
yeah, absolutely. And of course, he went up against both Soldo and Sweet on the weekend, so a good challenge for him. Split the hit-outs with Sweet. I think Soldo had 8 or something like that, so he was probably playing up forward a bit more. 21 apiece to McAndrew and Sweet. So good to get him against an AFL-sized body and, a bit, not AFL form, obviously, but as close as you're going to get without playing in the one. So hopefully he keeps up his decent form, so if something would have happened to Rob or something like that, he can obviously step in straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll move on to proper classics we're going to have a chat about here. There are a couple of options. We've got round 1 2009 Texas first game. Unfortunately, no full game for me to pick apart and put a classics together. So unfortunately, it won't be that one. Other than that, we've got Tomo's 300th in 2016, or Round 18 2014, which was a game towards the end of the year which got us into the 8. Obviously, we didn't end up making finals in 2014, but it was a crucial game at the G. What are your boys' thoughts? We're thinking Tomo's 300th, the last time we actually beat Collingwood, or 2014?
Oh, probably Tomo's 300th, I reckon.
I think it kind of has to be. I think it has to be. I want to point out the bloody... What game was Siren Gate? Was that Collingwood?
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah,
because I don't think
the first Thursday night game at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, the draw's a good one as well. I think we're gonna have to get a poll up, I reckon, because there's a few rippers in there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind McGovern after the siren for the draw.
Yeah, it's not bad as well. The one that you're talking about, Dom, was earlier in 2014 when Tex came back from his knee injury. Charlie Cameron had it might have been his debut or his
he kicked 5, didn't he? He kicked 4 or 5.
Yeah, and Jenkins kicked that goal on the halftime siren, and you couldn't hear it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, Siren Gate. So I wouldn't mind that one as well. But I think we need to put a poll up on Twitter and let the public decide, because there's a few in there that it could go to.
Absolutely, a few good choices. No recent ones, of course, but
there's a few for Collingwood fans there is, but
yeah.
Bombs.
Maybe we could edit it out and Jordan Dawson gets a free kick and kicks a goal. Other than that, we'll move on to the present day. So Collingwood this Saturday afternoon. I believe we're all going to be there. MCG. I think it's the early game for Saturday, 12:40 or something like that it starts. So get in early. Obviously, the Pies scraped home last week against the Dockers in Perth on Friday night in a very impressive win for the squad that they put out on the park. Few knocked up players. Myercheck is a tested player this week. Tom Mitchell got through the VFL and is available. Of course, it's going to be the fairy tale return game against the Crows as per usual, what normally happens. Maynard, Pendlebury and DeGoey all managed last week. DeGoey missed a light training session today, so, a potential miss, but we'll see how we go with that. How are you boys feeling about it? I'll start with you, mate. We're obviously riding a high at the moment, so we'll see how we go into the G.
Yeah, I'm a little bit wary of this one, knowing our form against them as of late. I think this is easily, obviously, our biggest test to date. I think it's going to be a game that's one on matchups and probably matchups alone. Really, like if you sort of let Dacos run free, I think you're letting the game get ahead of you get away from you before the ball's even been bounced. It was just being straight up on us. So. Midfield battle again is huge, but I think it's just the way that we play the matchups. Really, I think that the one-on-ones are going to be huge, and every single player is going to have to step up and play their role if we're even the slightest chance against this mob. This is easily the least confidence I've been all year. And I will, probably for the first time all year, won't be walking in thinking that we're going to walk out with the 4 points. So I'll be making a trip over anyway, very last-minute decision, but. Yeah, it's going to be a big one. That's going to be won or lost with the one-on-ones all over the ground.
Yeah. Nah, Dom, how about you?
Oh, mate, I'm shitting myself because this game does things to me. I'm horrified to have to go back to the MCG and watch this again because it has not been kind to me the last few years, as you boys are all aware. I'm not not confident. I think we're definitely going to give it a red-hot crack, and I still will back us in to win, but I'm definitely it's the least confident I've been all year because, Collingwood rested 3 All-Australian calibre players and still managed to win away from home last week. They're a serious football side, so I think it's the biggest test we're going to face so far. And I think Dyl was right. It depends on who plays where if we let Dacos get off the chain because he's burnt us a few times now. I'll still back us in to win, but I'm not confident, unfortunately.
Yeah. Nah, absolutely. It's always hard to be confident going into a game this big. I mean, I can't wait to get there. The atmosphere is going to be crazy. I mean, we all know how well our fans travel over to Melbourne. It's a Saturday afternoon game. It's perfect for those wanting to travel over there for a day, a weekend, whatever it may be. So expect a crowd of probably 70, 80,000. So...
Yeah, we always get 65, 70 to that game, so it's always a big crowd because so many people come over. There's always a big Crow population there, so...
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think we got 7. I'm pretty sure we hit 70,000 when we were there last year against the Pies.
It wouldn't shock me. That crowd was bloody loud. So
yeah, no, absolutely, and we're playing better this year. So yeah, we'll see how many turn up this week. It'll be exciting to be there, and hopefully the boys show up and can be electric again and match the energy of the crowd and provide a good game. So see how we go. Early predictions, Dyl. Who wins? How much? Who kicks the first goal?
Pies by 3 goals.
you are a coward.
First goal will go Darcy Fogarty, but yeah, I won't be tipping us this week. I said this against the Gold Coast, they end up tipping us, but yeah, the tip won't be changing this week, unfortunately. I think this one is probably going to hurt again, but yeah, I think the Pies get us over the line and they beat us this week, but I really want to be proved wrong. But yeah, Pies by a couple.
Yeah, Dom, how about you?
You are a coward, Shrimp. I'm still backing us in. I don't think it'll be a big margin. I'll say it's going to be less than 2 goals. And first goal. Oh God, I've been good with this year. I don't know who to go now.
You have been, mate. You've hit 3 of the last 3, I think, for home games.
No, not 3 in a row, but I've got 3 this year. I'll go Phil. I'll back him in to take a big grab and get us off to a hot start.
It'd be nice. Like you, I'm going to back us in to win because I just physically can't tip Collingwood. All I pray is that it's not another less than a goal loss, because if that happens again, the Yarra is looking nice.
You'll see me floating belly up in the Yarra River, I promise you that.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll go Crows by 7 points, just over a goal, and I'll go. We're gonna say Tex again. Fuck it, Tex to kick the first goal.
Yeah, but so you got to stand on business. You got to.
I have to.
It'll happen eventually. Yeah,
it has to. We'll see how we go. Do you boys think there's going to be any changes from the side? Obviously, we marked Curtin as a potential, but given the matchups, maybe not. I don't think anyone else is particularly poor.
I think the only thing will be Barry will come out of the vest and go in unchanged unless there's any injuries. But yeah, I think Barry out of the vest. I'm not sure who goes to it, but yeah, I think we're going unchanged.
That's the only flag. I don't know who takes the vest instead, but I think you're right. I think Barry will come out of the vest.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It'd be interesting to see what sort of teams are named, whether there's too many changes. Obviously, Thursday night we'll get a full squad rather than the 24-man squad that normally comes out for a Sunday game. So see who they put in there. Obviously, we won't get subs, but we'll know a rough idea of what we might be looking at. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a huge game this weekend against the Pies. If you're travelling over, flick us a message. We'll catch up for a few beverages beforehand, I'm sure, and or after. If you're at the G, flick us a message. We'll be probably top level as we normally are, getting bird's eye view of the ground. Other than that, do you guys have anything else to chat about the Pies game or anything else that's happened during the week?
No, mate. I reckon we've covered it pretty well, and my stomach is rumbling, and I'm so ready to go have something to eat.
Yeah, no, I think we've covered just about everything. We'll probably do some kind of pre-game because we're all going to be there, so make sure you tune in if we end up going live, do a bit of a preview, but yeah, nothing more to add.
Nah, absolutely. I'd suggest we'll likely be at the Young and Jacksons because that's the typical spot Mac campaign.
Oh, yeah, dude.
10 a.m. as doors open to save us a table, so
yeah,
we'll be out and about early in Melbourne. So if you're around, flick us a message. We'd love to see some of you out and about in Melbourne. Follow the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everything as I mentioned earlier to keep up with where we're at. Most likely Twitter's probably the place to be in terms of posts, but keep on top of it there. Other than that, Proper Classics will be out Thursday morning. We'll get a poll out tomorrow to figure out what game for, and we'll go from there. The review of this round probably Sunday evening, maybe Monday like this next week. We'll see how we go in terms of flights and everything like that. But other than that, thanks still for joining.
No worries, mate. Thank you, and we'll see you Saturday over in Melbourne.
We will do. And Dom, thanks very much for jumping in.
Always a pleasure, mate. Looking forward to the weekend.
Absolutely, mate. We'll see you there, and go Crows.
Go Crows.
Go the Crows.
Ring the bell! Ring the bell!